Psalm 42, Longing for God. Psalm 42 opens the second major section of the Psalter, associated in its heading with the sons of Korah, a guild connected to temple worship in ancient Israel. The psalm is widely read as a deeply personal lament that gives voice to spiritual longing, emotional distress, and the struggle to maintain hope in God during seasons of distance and discouragement. Rather than presenting a smooth progression of faith, it moves in waves between sorrow, remembrance, self-examination, and renewed trust. The central image of the psalm appears in its opening lines. As the deer pants for the water brooks, so pants my soul for you, O God. This vivid metaphor expresses an intense spiritual thirst. The psalmist portrays dependence on God not as abstract belief but as essential to life itself, comparable to a dehydrated animal urgently seeking water. The longing described here is not for blessings or relief alone, but for God's presence. The question, "When shall I come and appear before God?" suggests a sense of separation from public worship, often understood as arising from displacement or restricted access to communal religious life. The result is a deep sense of spiritual dryness that shapes the entire tone of the opening section. This longing quickly turns into grief. The psalmist describes tears as constant companions, forming a striking image of ongoing sorrow. At the same time, he faces external mockery in the question, "Where is your God?" This accusation intensifies inner anguish, as suffering begins to feel like evidence of divine absence. The memory of earlier days, when worship and celebration were shared among a community of faith, deepens the pain, because present isolation contrasts sharply with remembered joy. In this way, memory functions both as comfort and as a source of increased longing. In the midst of this emotional turbulence, the psalm introduces a striking internal dialogue. "Why are you cast down, O my soul? And why are you disquieted within me?" Here the psalmist turns inward, addressing his own despair directly. Instead of surrendering to hopelessness, he challenges his own emotional state and redirects himself toward trust, hope in God, for I shall yet praise him. This moment reflects a disciplined form of faith in which truth is spoken into the heart even when feelings remain unsettled. It shows that belief is not portrayed as the absence of distress, but as the active reorientation of the self toward God in the midst of it. The imagery then expands to overwhelming natural forces, waterfalls, waves, and billows. These images convey a sense of being submerged under repeated affliction. Yet even in this turbulence, the psalm maintains a theological awareness that these forces are not random. They are described in a way that still acknowledges divine sovereignty, suggesting that suffering is not outside the scope of God's rule, even when it feels chaotic and consuming. In the midst of this tension, a shift occurs toward hope grounded in divine character. The psalmist affirms that steadfast love will come by day and that prayer to the God of life will continue. The use of covenant language highlights enduring faithfulness that persists even through darkness. Although the experience of distress has not disappeared, there is a renewed confidence that God's loyal love remains active and present. The struggle intensifies again in the psalm's direct address to God, "Why have you forgotten me?" This bold question reflects honesty rather than rejection. The psalmist continues to speak of God as my rock, holding together both complaint and trust within the same confession. This tension is significant. It portrays a faith that is willing to bring confusion and pain directly into prayer while still clinging to the identity of God as reliable foundation. External ridicule once again echoes the internal struggle, reinforcing the feeling of spiritual isolation. The psalm concludes with repetition of its central refrain, "Why are you cast down, O my soul? Hope in God." There is no immediate resolution of circumstances, yet there is a settled decision of trust. The final declaration affirms God as the help of the psalmist's countenance and his God, emphasizing personal relationship rather than abstract belief. The ending leaves the tension unresolved externally but redirected internally toward hope. Across its movement, the psalm explores several enduring theological and spiritual themes. It presents God as the ultimate object of desire, suggesting that human longing ultimately finds rest only in divine presence. It also portrays emotional suffering with striking realism, showing that grief, loneliness, and spiritual heaviness can coexist with genuine faith. The repeated self-address highlights a form of inner exhortation in which truth is actively spoken against despair. In addition, the importance of communal worship emerges as a significant source of spiritual vitality, with isolation intensifying distress. Finally, the psalm emphasizes that hope rests not in immediate change of circumstances but in the unchanging character of God. Many readers also see in this psalm a reflection of Christ's own experience of sorrow and abandonment, especially in moments of suffering and lament. Within this perspective, the psalm becomes not only a personal expression of ancient devotion but also a model for understanding suffering that is ultimately met with divine solidarity and resurrection hope. Practically, the psalm is often applied to those experiencing spiritual dryness, emotional discouragement, or prolonged hardship. It encourages honest prayer, remembrance of past faithfulness, continued participation in worship and community, and deliberate recentering of the heart on hope in God even when emotions lag behind belief. In this way, it presents faith not as uninterrupted emotional stability, but as persistent trust that continues to reach toward God through seasons of inner struggle.
Psalm 42, to the chief musician, a contemplation of the sons of Korah. As the deer pants for the water brooks, so pants my soul for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? My tears have been my food day and night, while they continually say to me, Where is your God? When I remember these things, I pour out my soul within me. For I used to go with a multitude, I went with them to the house of God, with a voice of joy and praise, with a multitude that kept a pilgrim feast. Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him for the help of his countenance. O my God, my soul is cast down within me. Therefore I will remember you from the land of the Jordan, and from the heights of Hermon, from the hill Mizar. Deep calls unto deep at the noise of your waterfalls. All your waves and billows have gone over me. The Lord will command his loving kindness in the daytime, and in the night his song shall be with me, a prayer to the God of my life. I will say to God my rock, Why have you forgotten me? Why do I go mourning because of the oppression of the enemy? As with the breaking of my bones my enemies reproach me, while they say to me all day long, Where is your God? Why are you cast down, O my soul, and why are you disquieted within me? Hope in God, for I shall yet praise him, the help of my countenance and my God.